What is good, hunters? Welcome back to another video. In this video I want to talk about callers and why animals sometimes don't respond to callers. I think a lot of players have ran into this mechanic and most think it's a bug, most are confused, don't know really what's going on. Why is animals not really responding to my calls? And first of all, we have to understand how callers work. So just to give a brief rundown of how it works, I have this illustration here, and I have the blue on the red side. Basically, the blue side is what I call the active part of the caller. So the beginning of the blue line there by the arrow, at the beginning there of that white line, that's where you're going to start and make your first call. And then the arrow is going to move all the way to the center. And when it gets to that middle blue line, middle white triangle, that's when you want to make your second call. And you wait until it gets to the end of the red, and it will go back to the beginning of the blue. You never want to call within the red range. That's what I call the negative range. This is where you will cause animals to become disinterested in your calls. You make a call in that range, and in most cases it's very unforgiving. The animals will catch on, and they will return back to their natural state. So you want to avoid calling in the red, only call in the blue. So you make your first call, you wait for the arrow to get to the middle, you call and you wait for it to run out and return back to the blue. This will increase and almost guarantee a successful call. Next, we have to really take a look at what type of animals are affected by callers. And we have some callers that call high genetics and low genetic animals. So that's basically what dictates an animal responding to your caller is what genetic range it's in. So the low genetic calls will call in animals from around 10% to 50%. I don't think I've ever seen anything above 50%. That will put it into the high genetic range. So anything between 10 to 50, these are the low genetics. The low calls will call in these type of animals. The high callers will go from 50 and above, all the way to 100. So always keep that in mind, that always look and see what range the callers have on them, switch between them, and call accordingly to what you want. If you want a low call, you switch to the low caller. You want to go to the high genetics, you switch to the high caller. Now, one of the reasons why animals won't respond to your call is sometimes based on their status. If animals are resting, eating, or they're in an alert status, meaning if they're kind of aware that you're around, there's a high chance that they won't respond to your call. You want to be able to assess what state the animals are in. Get within range if you can, get some eyes on them, and see what state they're in, what they're doing, and it will give you an indication as to if they would respond to your call. So depending on what the animals are doing, if they're resting, they're eating, there's a high chance that they won't respond to your call. Another thing is like obstacles. If you're behind a hill, there's a high chance that the animals won't respond to you. Now, that's not confirmed, but that has been my experience. If you're way up on a mountain, depending again on distance, you're not going to get an effective call. So always make sure you're within range. You have eyes on the animals for the most part. This will increase your chances. Another is distance. Callers only work within a 260 meter range. You want to be within that range so your callers can work. You're going to get sound cues from about 330 meters, and this will give you ample time so you can, plan your approach get within range, use your collar, and have a successful takedown of the animal. So what type of animals are affected by these collars? What age bracket? What maturity? Might be the question. And if we take a look here, we have an elk that is mature. It's a 15.83% genetic. So matures are most likely or more frequently to respond to collars. You'll realize that a lot of mature animals will respond to your calls. That's from my experience, from what I've seen. But all ages respond, because next we have a red deer. He's a young guy, and he's 36.25% genetics. So even the young genetics will respond to your call. We can see even with another elk who's an adult, he's 47.03% low genetics, and he responds to the call. And you might be asking, well, why? Why these different ranges of ages respond to a low call? Because from what we know, whatever genetic an animal is born with, it never changes. So if it has bad genetics, it will go through its life cycle from young, adult to mature at that genetic percentage. So that never changes. So if he's an adult, he will respond to the call. A mature, he responds to the call. It doesn't matter. As long as he's a low genetic animal, he will respond to a low call. If it's a high, we respond to a high. So I hope this, helped clear up a few things. I don't want players to feel as if it's a bug, get frustrated. It's just a matter of understanding and having knowledge as to how these things work. And hopefully this has cleared up any confusions that you might have encountered. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.